looking into maintaining your health in light of that. And of course, we get to look at gut health ulcers in particular, commonly known as the peptic ulcers. And these are sores that do develop on the lining of the stomach, small intestine, or esophagus. And of course, despite all the prevalence that there is out there, gut health ulcers can be managed and treated effectively with medication as well as lifestyle change, which is very paramount. And in some cases, surgical interventions could also be, opted for in case it's a severe, state that you are in. But understanding the causes, the symptoms of these gut health ulcers is crucial for proper digestion and as well as treatment. Now, we are joined by a doctor who's a medical practitioner in this particular regard. Dr. Joshua Wairama, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about this particular kind of ulcers. I've had so many different names given to ulcers, and it begs the question, are there different types of ulcers to begin with?
Yeah, there are different types of ulcers. Yes, first of all, our viewers, my name is Wairama Joshua. I'm practicing from White House Clinic. I'm the supervisor. Yes, so we have two different types of ulcers. To be specific, we have gastritis and PUDs.
Okay.
Yes, they have different symptoms. As we go on, we shall see the different symptoms of ulcers.
Okay,
yeah.
So what causes stomach ulcers, and how exactly do they relate to gut health?
Yes, what causes stomach ulcers? There is a bacteria called there's a bacteria, to be specific, that causes those ulcers, because ulcers are found on the stomach walls. So that bacteria that causes the ulcers is called H. pylori. H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori. This Helicobacter pylori penetrates through the walls of the stomach, and it forms a sore. When it forms a sore, the sore ruptures. After rupturing, it causes a wound, which wound we call an ulcer. If it's a sore, it's not an ulcer. If it ruptures, it becomes an ulcer. Okay. So we are going to look at the different, what causes that H. pylori to come and penetrate through the walls and cause the wound.
So the bacteria are directly responsible for the ulcer. However, there are triggers that then activate the bacteria's penetration through the stomach walls. And what are those triggers?
Those triggers, we have a lot of things that cause those ulcers, that trigger those ulcers. First and foremost, I can talk about there are very many, but I can talk about the bacteria itself. The bacteria itself, it's supposed to be in the body, on the walls. But then when it becomes much, it penetrates. And what causes that? We have what we call USAIDs, NSAIDs, the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, these are the drugs, most especially the painkillers. But when you over-depend on them, when you use them for months, they trigger ulcers. Why? By washing away the mucus on the walls. The walls of the stomach has to have mucus on them to just help in the
to protect the bacteria from not penetrating. Wow.
But when you over-depend on them, on the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which include ibuprofen, which include aspirin, which include diclofenac, you get paracetamol. It gets exposed to it gets you to get exposed to the ulcers.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Wow, that's challenging because so many people depend on painkillers, as you've said, on a daily basis. Someone will knock themselves, or they'll get a headache, and the run to is a painkiller. But away from the the drugs that you have mentioned, the NSAIDs, what other ways actually will trigger this bacteria to then cause the ulcers we speak of this morning?
What other ways to trigger the? Well, are
there habits that people do on a daily that also can contribute to that?
Yes, of course. Besides the Helicobacter pylori, besides the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. We have even some habits that people do on a daily basis that cause those ulcers. One is smoking. 2, alcohol use. Depending on alcohol, you get exposed to those ulcers. How? I can explain how, because I want someone who is viewing to know, how does alcohol cause ulcers? Yes, we know that in the stomach we have that mucus. So when you over-depend on those sour things like the cigarettes and the alcohol weaken the mucus. When they weaken the mucus on the stomach walls, and the duodenum, it gives chance to the H. pylori to maneuver and penetrate and cause a sore, which sore later on ruptures to cause a wound, causing an ulcer.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Are there any particular maybe foods that could also trigger those kind of ulcers?
Well, it really depends. When you already have the ulcers, that's certain foods that you're not supposed to use.
Okay.
But I need to just give a point. There are no certain foods that cause ulcers. For this, I'm sure. It is not medically proven.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this particular kind of ulcers, the stomach ulcers or the peptic ulcers, in relation to gut health. How do they actually affect the gut health?
They affect that because when they form that wound, when they produce that wound after the sore rupturing, you have the bleeding, internal bleeding, and you start getting signs like vomiting blood, and you start getting signs like diarrhea that has blood in it. Yes. Okay. Yes.
And is there more to that, or?
Yeah, there are a lot of complications. You start getting things like GERD, which is gastrointestinal reflux disease.
Or is that the thing that people feel around?
Yeah, they feel around here.
There is that burning sensation around.
Yes, it is called GERD, gastrointestinal reflux disease.
Okay.
Yeah, you feel the burning sensation that you feel like it's unbearable at times. You feel like puking at times. But it is two-way traffic, because you may think it is ulcers when it is GERD. What causes GERD? Over-depending on one meal. For example, you're having beans and posho, Monday to Friday, you can easily get the gastrointestinal reflux disease. Okay. And you can easily mistake it with ulcers, which is a different case. So
now that's where we come in to ask in terms of diagnostics. So many people go with that feeling, and then the doctor quickly says that it's an ulcer, and yet from your explanation, these are two different kinds of disease that have a similar way that they actually present themselves. So how do you differentiate, or how can a person who's having those experiences, you know, which kind of information should they know to be able to understand that there's two different things that they're referring to here? Yes. So thank you very much. So here we are going to look at the signs. So you're drawing me to the point of signs and symptoms. When you start feeling bloating of the stomach, upper epigastric pain, the stomach is called the epigastric region, so you can just use that, but it's upper abdominal pain, if you can just put it down. Yeah, when you start feeling that, when you start feeling like you're coughing blood, at times when you vomit some, the vomits have some blood drops, and if the diarrhea have some drops, then if you go to the doctor, I don't really think whether the doctor will just rule out and say, according to the signs, it's ulcers. No, they have to run some tests to confirm that. So when they run that tests, there are very many tests of ulcers. Yeah, and to mention, they can do an H. pylori test. It's both H. pylori antigen and H. pylori antibody. Okay. Yes, the urine, the blood test and the stool test, and then there is what we call endoscopy. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And then now, when it comes to, because I'm trying to look at people who they're not smokers, they don't drink alcohol, and yet for one way or another they've been able to develop. Neither do they entirely depend or utilize a lot of the NSAIDs that you said, so the painkillers as you referred to them in simple language. Yes. So what other perhaps lifestyle could trigger people to have this kind of ulcers?
Starving yourself, not eating the right time, not eating the right amount of food, yeah, it can also, it is the lead cause of ulcers in Uganda. Some people are poor, they don't have money to get themselves what they can eat. Some of them have 1 meal per day, so it can trigger ulcers. Yeah, it can definitely trigger ulcers.
My follow-up question is that you mentioned that in a time when there's Lent period and the Ramadan period,
yes,
and our brothers and sisters are not eating. They're pretty much having 1 major meal a day, and that's a lifestyle that people practice in line with their faith and religion. And so from your explanation, it's as if they are also triggering ulcers in the near future.
In the near future.
Is that so?
So no, it's not like that. What I can say in that aspect of fasting period and stuff, we can look at how it really depends on the body's immunity. Okay. We know like the body has to use glucose 24/7. So if your body is able to regulate glucose 24/7, you can do away with ulcers.
Okay.
What brings the ulcers is when the body has used up all the glucose. There is nothing left in the body. But when the body, there is another process that when the food is done in the stomach, the body goes on the fats and splits it out to produce glucose that can keep you moving. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So in that regard, it begs the question, can these ulcers be healed?
They can.
Are they curable?
They are curable.
Because people have them and have them and have them and have them, and they keep putting them on stronger and stronger medications, and it makes it look like you can one day not be there and you just don't have the ulcers anymore.
At most, according to how I've worked, what they call stronger medicines, they put them on painkillers. Because trust me, they give you discomfort. And people keep on taking painkillers, which is a wrong thing, if I may say.
Because it's really painkillers that are contributing to the ulcer worsening.
To the ulcer
worsening, because you mentioned that the mucus, the bacteria is then gets into your stomach and creates more and more.
When you swallow some of the painkillers, they cool down. They tend to cool down, but that's not a healing process. For the ulcers to heal, you need to go and find out if really they're ulcers. You can be there when you're going through GERD, that gastrointestinal reflux disease. Yes, but then for the ulcers to heal, you have to go to that doctor, explain to them what's happening, then they recommend the appropriate tests to be done. When they're done and they find out the H. pylori, the Helicobacter pylori is positive, then they give the right medications. We have the right medications on the market.
Okay, there's that
the PPIs are there that help. Well, what the PPIs do, they seal those wounds. After sealing those wounds, then the body produces the mucus, and the mucus goes back on the stomach walls and the duodenum. Yes, the PPIs include the omeprazole, pantoprazole, esomeprazole, labeplazole. There are very many on the market. Okay. Yes. All right. So when it's detected earlier, it can heal completely. When it is detected at the later stage, trust me, it's going to be just coming down for a meantime. Then, and another thing, you have to change the diet.
Okay, before we go into the diet, what constitutes it being a late stage ulcer?
The what?
What constitutes it to be a late stage ulcer?
A late stage ulcer, when the wounds are very many and are starting to become, because those wounds can become malignant. Yes, when they become malignant means cancerous. Yeah,
wow.
That's a later stage. So there, they just have to maintain them on that pace, not to bring a lot of the reaction and the pain, to calm down the pain. Yeah.
Okay, so what tests must one do if they are having and presenting the signs and symptoms that you have mentioned? What tests would you urge them to actually go look out for in particular?
So when you're feeling like, let me first of all list some of the signs and symptoms of ulcers. When you feel the upper epigastric pain, when you feel like when you're eating a meal, you become full very fast. 2-3 bites, you're already done. And when you feel discomfort after eating food, you're not feeling well, you're feeling like you're not yourself, and the stomach swelling, because there are some people that after eating a meal, the stomach swells. Enlarges.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you go to the doctor, I surely know they will first tell you to run a blood test of H. pylori, Helicobacter pylori. If they detect it's there, they have to confirm. Yeah, they have to confirm with another test. But with that first line test of the H. pylori, they can give you the what? The medication of the PPIs, and you can get healed. But when it's severe and it is reoccurring, they can do the endoscopy, GI endoscopy. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about the treatment options that are available in the market right now. And sometimes people fear these medications. For the ones that my friends that I have seen, there's like a whole line of treatment. 7 pills in the morning, 9 at lunchtime, 12 in the night.
Yeah.
Already that is psychological torture.
I know.
Yeah.
So the right treatment, because there are some herbals even, you didn't mention that. Yeah, there are some herbals, and people have testified they have healed, because in those herbals, all I know, according to my knowledge, they have aloe vera in them, so which just helps to seal those wounds, because the treatment that we have, the PPIs, that's lansoprazole, omeprazole, pantoprazole, esomeprazole, they help to seal those wounds, and when they seal those wounds, trust me, you will not feel any signs of ulcers.
Yeah.
And then another thing you need to mind about what you eat.
So let's conclude with that.
Yes.
What is the dietary lifestyle one must have?
The dietary lifestyle that one must have, probably we need to do more of greens, plant foods, non-acidic foods, because we see that in the stomach we have acid, the HCl, hydrochloric acid. So when you keep on doing the acidic foods, trust me, they will react with you, with the ulcers, and you feel that unbearable pain. That's why you feel someone can come in the stomach, holding the stomach, come in the facility when the pain is unbearable. Yes, you have to look at the foods that you eat to be specific. They have to be plant foods, non-acidic foods. Yes, they really help to cool down. Then when you're seeking medication, you have to do that, because some people get medication then get back on the acidic foods. What are the type of acidic foods? These orange juice, mangoes, pineapples, you need to do away with that. Then eat on a meal, to be specific, you have to have greens. Yes, at least you have to have greens on that meal that you're having.
All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Joshua Wairama, who's a medical practitioner. He has really opened up our eyes, I trust, in regards to gut health and how important we've got to protect it, because when you distort the inner layers of your digestive system, you're making and paving way for diseases such as peptic ulcers. So we can rightly say it is our own fault. We're not mindful of our healthy lifestyles. So check what you take in and make sure that it is well balanced diet, and also the different lifestyles that we have picked up on, they have, you know, an opposite reaction to our bodies that then costs us an arm and a leg, and we have to swallow 12 pills of medication just to deal with the repercussions. So be mindful of that this morning. And to our fasting brothers and sisters, also be very mindful. I will stay away from the acidities in foods while you're fasting, so that it does not affect your gut health. Well, that